All right, welcome back to this Soul Hustle Summit series, 7-figure selling strategies that won't sell your soul. I would like to welcome Mr. Joe Pici from Pici and Pici. He is the author of Sell Naked on the Phone. That's literally my favorite book title to date. His sales training program is also globally ranked #1 in Sales Guru. What's
It's
the Sales Guru?
it's globalgurus.com.
Global
Oh,
Guru.
I'm sorry, .org.
Okay.
And our sales training program is ranked #1, and I'm ranked #1 as a sales trainer and speaker globally.
Awesome. Welcome, Joe. Thank you. Thank you for being on this show.
Hey, my pleasure.
Awesome. So you've got a whole bunch of stuff to share with us today. Tell us a little, just give me a little background on what you and your gorgeous wife, Dawn, from Pici and Pici, what you guys get up to on a regular basis.
Well, the biggest thing that we focus on is helping our clients really generate leads multiple ways. We do everything we do is what we train. So we don't train any theory. We have 22 ways of generating prospect leads. So that's one thing. What we do uniquely is I do live outbound telephone call training. I don't believe in role play. And so I personally make 150 outbound calls every week. And so we teach that skill, but we teach it live. Okay. We teach very consultative sales. So, for us, the people we work with are anything from a small one person right up to Fortune 100 companies on sales. Our other vertical is we help speakers, coaches, trainers, and consultants take their talent and intellectual property and learn how to monetize it. So those are probably our two biggest verticals.
Tell me something. What condition are your clients in when they reach out to you? Because I think that a lot of entrepreneurs get into business and don't, it's almost like they feel like I'll build it and they will come. And then they cross their fingers and wait for the phone to ring and they don't realize, oh my gosh, you've got to put yourself out there. So are they?
The first thing, we don't wait for our clients to reach out to us.
Okay.
We have a very outbound approach to business. Okay? But what you said is so true, because most people, whether it's retail or not retail, they have a retail mentality. They think if I throw a lot of advertising at something, the phone's going to ring. And what we learned very early was it was up to us to really refine who we were going after. What is our target market? And then reach out to them. So with respect to what are people looking for now, okay? Well, the number one thing we're working with our clients on is recapturing lost revenue. I mean, people lost money. And so our whole focus was how do we help them recapture lost money, lost clients, lost momentum?
And so are you attributing this to the current state of affairs this year with the COVID-19? Or what,
Well,
what sort of loss are you looking at?
I'm slightly older than you, so Dawn and I have weathered a lot of storms.
Yeah.
In life, you're either going into a crisis, in a crisis, coming out of our crisis. And so we have built our business for crisis.
Right.
And so whether it was COVID or 9/11 or 2008 or whatever, sick children, stuff,
Yeah.
we have a business methodology and strategies that we are very consistent, and that's what we work with our client.
I noticed you've got war room, the war room in the back. I mean, as you know, I'm a closer. There's no qualms about that in my world, but a lot of people would be very intimidated by the idea, especially a lot of our, more touchy feely entrepreneurs that are more heart centered, about feeling like they're selling to someone. How can you teach someone to take the approach, like the direct approach, like you were discussing, but not sound aggressive?
But that's probably the best question I've gotten all day, to be honest with you.
Right.
The difference between transactional sales, which is to get to yes or no as fast as possible, and consultative sales, which is 85% of sales happen between the 6th and the 15th contact. So when Dawn and I opened Pici and Pici, here's what we realized. that there was a certain behavior style that everybody thought was better in sales. They were the outgoing closer mentality, which is fine. The problem is that's only 10% of the population.
Mhm,
So what
mhm.
we decided was you can't teach talent, you cannot teach charisma. So we created a methodology where we teach processes,
Mhm,
messaging, and skills that works for all behavior styles.
mhm,
It
mhm.
doesn't matter. It could be the shyest person in the world. If they want business, we can teach them how to get it.
You know what? This leads to a great question. And that is people have a perception if you're an extrovert and outgoing and that like 10% personality type that, is fearless, that those are the only people that can sell. But I can certainly tell you from my experience that even if I rely too much on my mood and personality and charisma, and if I get into a funk, because
Mhm.
it happens to everyone, and I don't have a process to get myself out of it, I'm in trouble.
And most people are. Most people wake up in the morning and if they're excited about something, they perform.
Yeah.
And if they're not excited about something, they don't perform.
Mhm.
But if in a very kind of mechanical way, if they just execute their process, okay? And that's what sales is all about. Sales is not, it's not easy, but it is simple.
Mhm.
And sales is the easiest thing to quantify. When people tell me they're great at sales, I ask this question: are you generating all the business you want?
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
99 out of 100 people say no. Well, you can't measure leadership, but you can measure sales.
Mhm.
If you're good at sales, you have business. And sales is generating leads, getting appointments, and then the appointment themselves, whether it's virtual or live,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's the proposal, so it's all of the follow-up. It's a series of processes and skills that really don't have to be emotional.
Mhm. Why do you guys not believe in role play? Because I figure that's the easiest way to get somebody
Again,
comfortable with
and
words.
I don't mean to sound like a jerk, but
You couldn't
you
be a
know,
jerk.
most role plays stay role plays. And
Right.
I'm not anti role play for a moment, but at some point in time, if you don't take off the training wheels and do things in real time.
Yeah.
So I decided when I do sales training, we are going to do live outbound telephone call training in real time to real prospects
Mhm.
because that's the number one fear, that's the number one obstacle people have.
Mm.
So if we can fix it in the training room in real time, we've equipped people with what they need to make all the money they want to make.
I guarantee you half the audience's palms just started to sweat when you said outbound cold sales calls.
But it's not
That's
just
not for
cold.
everyone.
Well, again, but it's not just cold. I
Mhm.
don't care if it's a hot call, a warm call, or a cold call. The script is the same. The
Mhm.
only difference is maybe the entry point. And let me say something about scripting because I can read your mind.
Mhm. Mhm.
I sit across from CEOs and VPs of sales, and this is what they go. Well, my people don't like scripts. To which I say, the best actors in the world are Italian. You got Stallone, you got Brando, you got Pacino, and they're all scripted,
Yeah.
but they don't sound scripted.
Right.
So once a person understands the scripting and practice, 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 it doesn't. But the worst thing that can happen is somebody shoots from the hip. But here's another thing for the people out there that are selling or have people selling for them, your first point of contact with the prospect in the world is your sales initiative.
Mhm.
And you spend tons of money on branding and on advertising, and one bad sentence, one bad word can destroy all of your branding.
Mhm. Mhm. That is so true. But at the end of the day, I think when we start getting into a sales process scripting and like think about, oh my God, I gotta pick up the phone or I'm gonna, take this even an inbound, breakthrough call or strategy call, we forget for a minute that we're talking to a person.
Right.
And if we just spoke to a person like we were speaking to a friend
Yeah.
for a minute, you know, it's not that hard.
No, it's not.
It's not that hard. Just
I
be
think people
yourself.
build things up in their mind.
Yeah.
But I think the other thing is, I think everything has to start with the end in mind.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I think when people open up a business or sign up to be in sales, they don't count the cost before they sign on what it's going to take to be successful.
Mhm,
So they buy the sizzle, but they don't buy the steak.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Therefore, sales looks so cool because people see people out when they used to have lunch together and they think they have this flexible schedule and business ownership because the person decided to drive a Mercedes. It looks so successful, but they don't ever sit down with those people and say, what are the non negotiables to grow a business? What are the non negotiables to build a sales initiative?
Mhm,
And once you know what it takes to be successful, then you determine, do I really want to do that?
mhm. Well, how do you propose like let's say a life coach or a business coach or a consultant or a gut health professional or someone who is working consultatively with clients. um I mean, there's so many methodologies out there. There's DM, everyone's on social media and LinkedIn, making connections. But how do you advise that industry how to kind of conduct that sales call, or what kind of process they should have? Or some people subscribe to like the 15-minute call. It's like they should know you by now because your social media should have created some familiarity. And then there's other people who book like a free coaching call which turns into a sales call. Like, where do
I
you
don't do
fall in?
free anything. I think, I'll do podcasts, but I think anybody, especially in our industry, the consulting industry, they're giving away so much free stuff. Then why would anybody pay you if they get it for free? I
Mhm.
have a simple process. Once I get a lead, whether it's inbound, outbound, whatever, whether it's cold, warm, or hot, I pick up the phone and I make a call, and my script within 3 sentences determines whether or not we need to move forward and have a meeting or not.
Right. For you
I
as
don't
well,
talk
right? Not just for
people,
their benefit, but for you.
it's their benefit. I don't talk anybody into things
Mhm.
because here's the problem. When you talk people into things in sales, in business, you just got started.
Mhm.
It's not like you're selling a widget where I talk you into it, I use some silly clothes, you buy it, and I never see you again.
Mhm.
Most sales, you have to see them again,
Mhm, mhm, mhm. You
which
gotta
means it
deliver.
better be their idea. We haven't had to give money back ever. We have never had a remorse buyer because it's their idea. It's their idea for the meeting. It's their idea whether or not they want to move forward with us.
Mhm.
So, not everybody, look, here's the other thing. We have to understand what we do is not for everybody. And so, I don't hunt, I fish,
Mhm.
which means I qualify them as much as they're qualifying me.
Yeah. I heard somebody say, like, in the consultative world, it's 50-50. You should be declining their business, 50% of the time, versus them coming on board with you. Does that make sense? I'm kind of like saying that backwards, but it should be a 50-50 chance of you saying, no, you're not ready, or you're not my ideal client, as there is an opportunity for them to say, yes, I want to work with you.
Well, and that could be true. That may be part true. But once I give my value proposition, once we decide to go into a meeting, because my meeting is so discovery based and consultative,
Mhm.
we know by the end of the meeting whether or not they want to take the next step and get a formal proposal or not.
Yeah.
And I think because people have in their mind, I'm supposed to book every appointment, I'm supposed to sell everything. We're not.
Yeah, exactly.
You have
Exactly.
to determine how many clients am I looking for and realize that 80% of the people, whether it's a warm, cold, or hot call, 80% of the people you talk to are not ready for you or are not the right fit.
100%, 100%. But the discovery, this is absolutely the foundation of how I approach sales, is a good discovery. And it's going to vary in every business, but what do you think the key components of a discovery is, and where do you transition? I think this is the hardest part for a lot of entrepreneurs. Where do you transition out of discovery and into the close or the reveal? Yes, you're a fit. This is how we move forward.
I have a 5-step process. I can do it in 5 minutes. I can do it in an hour, but I never alleviate it. The first thing is about them, what their concerns are, what their desired result, and we establish a timeline. That's the beginning. The second thing is when I clarify. So I reiterate back and make sure we're on the same page. The third one is our uniqueness.
Mhm.
And this is where I bury my competition and make sure I'm the right fit. The fourth is the product or service that we may offer them. And the fifth is my call to action is a formal proposal. So the transition, okay, is I don't care if somebody calls me and says, I have a convention coming up. You are highly rated. We want you. I got $25,000. Can you speak? I am not a reactive salesperson. I put them into my process.
Right, right.
Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. See, prospects, like something like 92% of the population cannot think conceptually, which means when you are all over the map, when you are charismatic and bubbly and you're just throwing stuff out there and you think you're reading body language and you're reading voice tones and you're doing all this and you don't have a process, about 90% of the people cannot stay with you.
Yeah.
You're selling conceptually. Now take that over the phone. Okay, I'm looking at my board over there, and I have boards there's nothing aesthetic about my office. I have no pictures of famous people. I have whiteboards. One of my whiteboard is what I call a core story. That's my sales meeting.
Hmm.
My next whiteboard is formal proposals. No proposal goes out of this office unless the client wants it. I don't say I'm going to send you a proposal.
Right.
I say, would you like a formal proposal?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm going to ask your audience to do something. I'm going to ask them to track something.
Hmm.
How many core stories, which is your formal initial meeting to start the sell process, are you doing every month? And how many proposals or SOWs are going out every month? Because those two things right there will tell you how big your business is.
Hmm. Hmm. So, how do you know when it's appropriate to offer the proposal? Because I come from this a one call close school of thought. There's no proposal. Like until they're asking me, well, how much? Well, what are the buying questions? Is that your cue to
First of
say,
all, I don't talk money until I'm ready. And nobody's going to take me out of my process. I had a guy call me from New Jersey. In New Jersey, they want to get right to the bottom line.
totally, totally.
All right. Fast paced, task oriented. Okay. I know all about you. I have followed you for years. What's it going to cost? I
Yeah,
take him through my process and he keeps pushing. And I knew he was kind of Northeastern sarcastic, so I could get away with it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
said, Bob, a prescription without an examination is malpractice.
Good one. Good one.
I never talk money until I'm ready to talk money.
Right, right.
Or they're going to buy at price. And quite frankly, I'm not the cheapest.
I think a good go-to line for those situations, this is why a process is so relevant, because you're going to get different types of people. And I think when you've been doing this for many, many years, pretty quick who you have. I mean, you had that guy pegged probably in the first 30 seconds of conversation, and you've got your little bag of, arsenal of weapons to use when they start to drive the process.
Yeah, and
And
if they
I
would
always
have been
say,
a different behavior style, if they would have been more low key or people oriented, I would have said, Bob, I promise you we'll get there.
right,
But I
right,
can't price anything until I know exactly what you want.
right, right.
We are master trainers also of DISC, the human behavior model.
Mm,
And we've taken that more into behaviors versus personalities.
mhm.
And so every behavior style buys for a different reason, and they buy at a different time. And if we don't learn how to adapt to their buying behaviors, to their processing style, the closing ratios go down.
Right, right. What do you feel about like matching and mirroring the energy, or and like on the phone it's a little bit harder, but if someone's got a slow conversation pace, or they're a low talker, like do you
Let me give you an analogy.
okay.
Many years ago, Dawn and I spoke in Moscow, and there were about 10,000 Russians in the audience. And there were three people in the room that spoke English: Dawn, myself, and the translator. Now, in translation, they cannot do humor.
Right, right.
Well, Dawn is funny, and she's on stage, and everybody's laughing. So at the end, I wrapped the whole thing up, and I pull him aside, and I said, "You're very good." And he said, "I am the best in all of Russia." Okay. How much did they get? And he wouldn't tell. I said, nobody knows. Nobody can even understand me. What did they get? He said, about 60%. Now listen to me, folks. Communications is not about manipulation. It's not neurolinguistic programming. That's different. Communications is speaking the other person's receiving style.
Hmm.
When you become a master communicator, which is 80% listening, 20% verbal, and you learn how to speak the way the other person receives, you will be a professional. Your closing ratios will go way up.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. Awesome. Okay, so do the good stuff. Joe, what do you have for our audience today?
Okay,
I
a couple
like the
things. I got some free gifts. If you will take out your phone, all right, you're going to take out your phone. You're going to go to where you would text. In the text message, I want you to put the word sales edge, one word. Now, some of the iPhones will break it up, put quotes around it. Sales edge.
Okay.
Send it to 55678. That's going to take you to Pici and Pici link. That'll take you to a splash page. Everything on that splash page is complimentary. The first thing you're going to come to is a 5 free e-course, Recapture Lost Revenue through Virtual Selling.
So I go,
Then
wait,
there's
back up, I go 25578.
no, 55678.
55678.
Send it. That should take you to Pici and Pici link, which should take you to a splash page.
In my text window on my phone.
Right.
Okay. I'm not getting it, but I'm going to make sure.
Well, make sure the word sales edge was one word.
Okay. Okay. It could be because I'm in Mexico too.
Well, maybe.
Okay.
Next. So that'll take you also, there'll be some information on our membership platform, which is sellmorevirtually.com. Run around on that. There's a lot of good content, free stuff. There's also free ebooks on LinkedIn and sales. And there's links to our podcast, which is Sales Edge, one word. Comes out every Tuesday, every Thursday. All right. It's on all Spotify, iTunes, it's on all of them. And that's about 25, 30 minutes, and it's pure content. Now, what I have for a giveaway, we're going to do a drawing. 72 hours after this airs, if people will they can email me at joe@PICIANDPICI.com or link up with me on LinkedIn. You'll see what I look like. Joe Pici, I'm pointing, Joe, and then PICI. I'll accept it. Write me a note that you were on this show. Or you can just call for a cup of Joe, 407-947-2590. Within 72 hours of this airing, we're going to do a drawing. My coaching rate is somewhere between $400 and $600 an hour, but I will give whoever wins that, I will give them 90 minutes of complimentary coaching.
Awesome. Awesome. So we'll make sure that there's a link you can opt into, Joe, so that you can pull that draw for our
That'd be great.
audience. How does that
That'd
sound? Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you so much. That was a great conversation. Tons of golden nuggets here. Joe, I'm going to let you go. And thanks to our viewers for hanging in there and take advantage of all of the amazing free training and content that Pici and Pici have offered here today. And don't forget to opt in for that free coaching call. Everybody can use coaching. Everybody can use some sales training. We all sometimes flatline in our sales process. It's a great refresher no matter where you are in your business. So thanks again, Joe.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.